Hi, I'm Alison Hogan, founder of the Pilates Studio, and I've designed this at-home core Pilates workout to get you started on your Pilates routines. So we're starting off with a very traditional Pilates movement called the 100. To start, like earlier, we talked about finding the neutral position. We're going to tilt the pelvis forward and back and find that middle ground, that halfway point where the pubic bone hip bones are in line. We're thinking about drawing the belly button in and exhaling, closing the rib cage down. So for this movement, we're gently going to lift the head and shoulders from the floor. The chin stays lifted slightly and the arms are reaching out to the side but off the floor. We're going to pulse those arms up and down nice and strong. As you breathe in, you're going to count for 5 pulse, and as you breathe out, another 5 pulse. So similarly to what we talked about earlier, we were talking about scooping the belly button in, hollowing those abdominals down, closing the rib cage as tight as you can inside your body, especially on the exhale. We also want to make sure that those muscles that really wrap around the body like you've got a corset on are tight and controlled and stable. If I was to slide my hand in under Sinead's back, there still would be space between the lower back and the floor. So with that in mind, you can continue on here, or we can move it to the next level. So we're going to just take a wee break there. So continuing on in the position that you are, finding that position right, and then we're going to roll the head and shoulders up again for the second set. So as I said, 2 feet on the floor, continuing on exactly as you were, or we can progress it by taking the right knee to hover over the right hip. This is called tabletop. It's just a single leg lift, but the knee is in line with the ankle and the knee is in line with the hip, and we're holding that position. Now once we have both feet on the floor or 1 foot off the floor, we can keep that neutral spine where the lower back is scooping off the floor. But if we want to take the double lift, we do also want to imprint the spine. So pressing the lower back down towards the floor, we're going to float that second knee up. 2 legs are nice and long, the toes are pointed, and we're holding that perfect tabletop alignment. We're still sitting up high as we can. Chin is lifted, eye gaze is reaching up past those toes. The lower back is pressing down into the floor this time, the belly button is drawing in and the pelvic floor is engaging. Just another couple of breaths here. Really focus on the pushing out of the breath for those 5 counts. And if you like Sinead, you'd like to progress on, we're going to extend both of those legs out, bringing the feet together, the knees together, the legs together. Really lengthening and reaching the legs out of the hip, out of the ankle, out of the knee. Still imprinting the spine, drawing the tummy tight and lifting the head and shoulders as high as we can. 1 more breath, taking the inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, strongly pushing the rib cage down, and we're going to draw those knees into the chest, hug the knees into the chest, roll the head and shoulders to the floor, and gently rock the body from side to side. So just holding in that position, stretching and rocking from side to side. So it's very important that no matter what exercise you're doing, you're incorporating your technique, which is the rib cage, the breath, I should say, the belly button, and the pelvic floor engagement and the pelvic position. So no matter what you're doing or what level you're doing, those are your core principles, they're your core positions. We also wanted to talk about the 6 principles of Pilates. So in every movement you have concentration, you have centering, you have your breath. We also want to have control of the movement, and we want that to be nice and fluid in your movement. We also want to be very precise. So precision is another core principle. So we're going to move on into the next position now. Okay, so moving into our next position, we're going to take the hands to the right leg. So your right knee is into your chest, your left hand is on your knee, and your right hand is down at the ankle. We're going to extend this leg out straight. Now, depending on your physical strength, it's just as good to have the leg extended right up into the air. So this takes a lot of work off the back and a lot of pressure off the abdominals. So if you're only new to Pilates, you haven't done much core strength, you're just starting, this is a nice position for you to be in. However, you can modify that to stretch it out. We're looking to pull on this leg, change sides. So you're extending one leg out as the other leg is pulling in. As you can see with Sinead, she's pull, really pulling those legs in with the power of the arms to stretch out the back of the legs, the bum and the lower back. Now to modify this even further, we're going to take the head and shoulders off the floor. Chin up, eyes up, draw the belly button in. Pull, change, pull, change. So even though this movement is happening, the head and shoulders is lifted, we're still working on those core principles in the center of the body. Your Pilates technique, drawing the belly button in, pushing the rib cage down as you exhale, pulling everything tight and keeping the back flat to the floor because we have the double leg lift. So continuing on for 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're just going to hug those knees into the chest again and roll the head and shoulders down to rest. So from this position, we're actually going to keep hugging the knees in and we're rolling up to seated. So rolling like a ball, forward and back, and roll yourself up to seated. Now if that's too difficult for you, just roll onto your side and sit up. So as you come to seated, we're going to look at Sinead's postural alignment and of course your own. So placing your hands behind your knees just for support to start off with, we're looking at what's happening behind the body. So we want the lower back to be lifted, the chest to be lifted, the shoulder blades to return back and down the back. So it's really important in your technique that we keep the shoulder blades returned down, not pinched back together, but just drawn down in a V down the back. Holding that position, we're also trying to draw the belly button in and feel that the rib cage is pushing down on the exhale, down on the exhale, down the exhale. We're inhaling for a count of 5 as before, and we're exhaling for a count of 5. So what we want to do here is to imagine that we're rounding the spine. We're slouching, tilting into a C shape and rolling back. We want that pubic bone to be rising up and a nice closeness between the ribs and the hips. So as you can see, she's rounded through the lower back. And we're rolling straight back out of it. Now keep your hands in behind your knees just to start off with and feel that you have support, that you can roll out of it. But remember, you're drawing the belly button in, you're engaging the pelvic floor, you're feeling that sense of tightness as if you have a corset wrapped around your abdominals. And ready to go again. Tilting and rolling. Exhale strongly. Stay where you are, blow the air out, close the ribs in. Take another inhale here, keeping everything really tight, and exhale, relax. Rolling back up to seated. So we want to keep the shoulder blades back and down, but we do also want to keep the C shape just to start off with. To make that a little bit more difficult, we're taking those hands away. So hands out, shoulder blades relaxed down the back, again holding that lift through the spine and holding your core contraction. Tilting the pelvis, rolling back. Roll as far as you can, hold the position. It doesn't have to be this far, it might be even further, but just hold it, pulling in the tummy, engaging pelvic floor. And exhale, we're rolling all the way back up, sitting as tall as you can. Now this time we're going to look at really lengthening and lifting through the upper back and spine. So I'd encourage you to place your hands back down in behind your knees, tilt and roll the spine similar to what we did so we get this nice C shape. But without lifting from the lower back, we just want to lift the chest and lift the ribs, straightening the body out a little bit. Relax the shoulder blades, draw the tummy in and keep that work going through the center. Now we're seeing if we can take the hands to float to the side. Again, just holding that position. Pull in your tummy and think about your breath. Very important principles of Pilates are control, precision and breath. So we're really holding that. Rolling up again. Sitting up nice and tall, lifting the ribs, lifting the chest and rolling the shoulders back and down. So you can continue doing any variation of that, and it's very important that you choose the level that's best for you, and we always encourage that at the Pilates studio. I really want everyone to be working at their very hardest but still within their own limitations. The most important thing is that you have the Pilates technique, that you are focused on it regardless of what level or what position you're in. Do challenge yourself though. Tilt and roll back, pulling in the tummy, lift the ribs, lift the chest. So sticking with whatever level you wish or progressing even further. We're going to take that right knee in towards the chest. Again, we're keeping the knee close. We're holding the position of the tabletop. Of course, you can extend that as well, lifting and lengthening that leg up. And this is just building you into a better position or into another more traditional Pilates movement. But we have to work on our strength, we have to work on our core control, and we have to work on our position. So bending that knee, lower the foot down, rolling yourself back up to your start position again, and we're alternating to the other side. So tilt the pelvis, rolling back, rolling back, rolling back, pulling in the tummy, lifting the ribs and chest, rolling those shoulder blades back and down as the left knee comes to hover in, holding here. In through the nose and out through the mouth, you're breathing as before. Think about pushing the rib cage down, really closing everything up through the center, and at the same time drawing the belly button in and really working those core muscles. Holding and extending for the last breath. Inhale through the nose, lift the chin slightly, and exhale, pulling the knee in, place the foot down and rolling up to the start position. To take a break in this position, we open the legs up and we roll forward, tucking the chin right in, creating a nice stretch through the lower back, through the upper back. And the deeper you breathe, the more stretch we're going to get through the rib cage and the upper back. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, same as, and we're going to move back into that same position. So just the final part of that, to progress it even further, and this could take you a few weeks to build up to this. Take your position as before, lift the ribs, lift the chest, a nice long spine, shoulders back and down, belly button drawn in, rib cage sunk down inside the body. Hold here, tilting the pelvis, rolling back, push the pubic bone up. Now lifting the ribs and the chest to get a little bit of a lift here. Draw the tummy in. We're going to try and do the double. Again with the hands behind the knees just for support, Sinead, to start off with. Take the right knee to hover over the right hip. Keep it in. Now see if you can also float that second knee up. If you can, focus on holding that position. Now you can stay here, taking the hands away for more or added work, or you can keep the hands back in, extending the legs up. Now see how you go. Take your time. Use the arms to support you. Bring the feet and the legs together, pointing the toes. We want long limbs all of the way. We still want to lift the ribs and the chest, pulling in the tummy and engaging pelvic floor. We can float those hands away also. Now you can stay here. To make it more difficult, you can take the hands up, but I think that's enough for today. Bending the knees in, placing one foot down very gently, second foot down, roll up, knees wide, roll forward and take your stretch again. Perfect. So just holding your stretch there, keep the chin right in, take a couple of deep breaths in to really open and stretch out those back muscles we've been working. So moving out of this position now, we're going to turn over onto our side. So as you turn over onto your side, what I want you to do is physically pick up your hips and push them back towards the back of your mat. And the same with your heels. So your knees are pointed forward like a V shape. You have a lovely crease in the hip area, nice deep bend, and you're holding that position. One foot on top of each other, perfect. So now we're looking at the under waist lift. So we want to really lift up this under waist and get this under waist area working and working hard. So as we lift, we do want to bring this elbow in underneath the shoulder. So slide the elbow in so your elbow is underneath your shoulder after you've lifted your under waist. Now similarly to our other positions, we want that tailbone to be tucked slightly down to really knock out that deep arch in the lower back. We also want to keep the belly button drawn in and close down these ribs in the center of the body. So to avoid any massive flaring of the rib cage and the chest. So from here, pushing down into that right hand, we're going to lift the hips up as high as we can, taking the arm over the head, all the way over. And as we do, continue to lift the hips as high as you can, keeping the tail tucked, belly drawn in, and the rib cage closing down as deep as you can. Now we won't hold it for very long. Inhale back down towards the floor. We're not going to hit the floor with the hips, and we're going to push those hips straight back up and over. So the movement is the arm coming up with the hips and the arm coming down with the hips. The goal here is that even at the highest position, you're still keeping the tailbone tucked under, you're still controlling the movement through the rib cage, the belly button and through the pelvic floor. Holding that and exhale strongly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale down. Give me 2 more of those now. Push as high as you can. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale down. Last time, really lift. High as you can. 3, 4, 5, and relax down into your hips there. We're going to take another set of this, and you can continue doing exactly this particular exercise and this level of this exercise, or you can follow on with us as we progress it and make it a little bit more difficult. Okay, so we're going to lift the ribs and lift the chest the same as before, tucking the tail and keeping the elbow right under the shoulder. To progress it one level along, we're going to take the right leg forward and straight, and we're going to do exactly the same thing, lifting the rib cage and the chest and the hips right up. Follow through with that arm, look up towards the ceiling as the arm goes right over the head, keeping the ribs closed, the back tucked, and returning back down towards the floor. And up again, exhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you can continue here, or we can take it to a double leg lift. So 2 legs coming out straight there when you're ready, Sinead. Perfect. Now again, we're lifting. So it's the very same movement. Hips lift, arm follows over, tail is tucked, abdominals are drawn in and ribs are nice and tight. Follow over, exhaling 3, 4, 5 and inhaling back down towards the floor. And again, exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, inhaling back down towards the floor. And to make this even more difficult, continue on doing what you're doing and stacking those feet one on top of the other. Now this is really going to challenge your balance, control and centering, and away we go again. Last 4, exhale all the way up. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, inhaling, coming back down. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, inhale back down. 2 to go. Whatever level you're at is perfect for today. Just keep your focus on your core positioning. Your belly is drawn in, your pelvic floor is engaged, and your breath is moving through your body. Perfect, Sinead, well done. So there you have it. We have given you all the tools that you need to get started in your Pilates practice and to really progress that practice along with all the different progressions we've looked at in the different exercises. We've broken down the technique for you to really look at your breathing, your core contraction and your pelvic position, which is really at the heart of every exercise that you're going to do. So practice as much as you can and really perfect your Pilates technique.